What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a Greenie and Craig stream. Today we have a special guest, obviously one of our local friends here in Australia, Zeneca. Welcome to the show, mate. How have you been? How's the market treating you?
I've been well. Good to be here. Market's the market. I think everyone knows what it's like. It's choppy. It's not as fun as it was when numbers going up, but I think as long as you approach it with a bit of caution, it's fine. I'm just trying to sit on my hands and not like overtrade, which is serving me well so far.
Yeah, and I think we'll dive definitely into that sort of topic because that's what I've been doing too. And I've actually just printed a 2x on a little Solana low cap. So that's the first time I've done that for a couple months. So that's been good.
Nice.
Craig, how are you, mate? How was your weekend? How was everything?
Jim, g'day Greenie, g'day Zeneca, good to be here with you two lads, and g'day to everyone out there. Mate, yeah, good. Parents arrived from New Zealand on Sunday afternoon, so just been kind of doing the family thing for the last couple of days, and I find sort of while the market's doing what it's doing, it's probably a good time to do things like that because I think as crypto traders, we can kind of isolate ourselves a little bit. So really good for, I think, for health, mental health. And then when the market comes back, hopefully I'm a bit fresher than I was. So yeah, man, it's good to take a little bit of a step back and try what Zeneca said is, I think, important, not to overtrade and give your money back to the casino at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's key. Hey, like we obviously de-risked a lot, obviously, from December through to February, probably January as well. And that was definitely the right call because obviously we've seen 80%, 90% dumps across altcoins, meme coins. NFTs have been actually surprisingly holding up pretty good. So I want to talk about that definitely. But the main chart, obviously, that a lot of people are alluding to at the moment, and I'm sure maybe you would have seen it on the timeline, is obviously the global liquidity, the M2, and it's how it front runs, how it's currently front running Bitcoin price action. And if you historically look at it, it does relay a very good case for a strong correlation of bullish continuation in 2025. So that's the chart that I do keep an eye on that really gives bullish hopium, despite several other indicators that I like to use showing maybe more weakness still in the short term. Is that something that's crossed your radar at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think, if you've been in crypto for a while, it's hard not to see that M2 money supply chart with the Bitcoin price chart sort of overlaid on top of it. And you can see like Bitcoin tends to lag a little bit behind, and it's a really, really, really strong correlation and indicator. Obviously, it's just one point of data, and past results are not necessarily definitively indicative of future results or future price action, but it is a really good indicator. So, yeah, it's one of the things I look at. It does give me hopium. I actually just last night put out a newsletter on the topic of is the crypto bull market over and will Bitcoin hit a new all-time high this year? And I mentioned this as well as a bunch of other things. And I think that there's obviously a chance that the bull is over and we've peaked and the all-time high is in. But I think there's probably about a 75, 80% chance that we do get another leg up at some point this year or maybe early next year.
Yeah, that's what I've been really starting to consider too, is 26 actually, like, whilst we've front run a lot this cycle, and Stats put out a really good post this morning or last night, American time, around the price action after the inauguration and after Trump was elected as well. And it's been the worst Bitcoin price performance in history after the last 3 inaugurations, which is really interesting. But that's not a surprise to me because of the way that this whole cycle has been built on hype. Like, you take us way back, like it was hype out of the bear market. We only accumulated at the absolute lows for about 3 months, whereas last cycle was 900 to 1,000 days. We then front run, made an all-time high pre-halving, first time in history, but it was all off the ETF rumors, the adoption in that capacity. Then you had so many retailers being like, well, hold on, if ETFs, if governments, if hedge funds are going to be buying it, then I probably want to be buying this too. Then you had the administration really build up hype as well. And sure enough, all of these catalysts have really seen a front run in price action this cycle. In my opinion, I know about you two lads. Do you think that we could definitely push into 2026 compared to where we currently are? Like, particularly with, like, if you look at this chart, it does take time for global liquidity, for rates to come down, for tariffs to take an impact in the market. So potentially that does push us towards a Q4, maybe Q1 2026 sort of peak, I suppose the word would be.
Yeah, I mean, everything's on the table in my view. It's as you said, with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high pre-halving, and yeah, I think all previous rules are kind of out the window. And yes, things could go the same way, but I think everyone should keep an open mind about different sort of eventualities that maybe were not expected.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm this cycle's been it's been great, but it's also been tricky. And certainly this point of the bull run, I mentioned this to Greenie a lot. Myself personally, I find the trickiest. Well, a couple of reasons. Well, it's very volatile as we get towards what you call the end. The thing is, where the end is, like you guys just alluded to. Yeah, I mean, at first thoughts, Greenie, you and I were looking at maybe a slightly shorter cycle, really early in the cycle, which you're about to point out. And now it's looking with this pullback and levels and fibs, which Greenie will go over, I'm sure, very eloquently. We could go into 26, which I'm myself personally not super keen on. I just want the bull run to give us a nice frothy top, give us an exit, and then I wouldn't mind a break or a holiday, probably like lots of us are wanting. Whereas this death by 1,000 cut sideways crab definitely does fatigue. But it's looking, as time goes on, like we're looking more like a Q3, Q4. And then, like you said, maybe the peak does go into 26 then. But yeah, it's tricky, but I'm still like Zeneca. I'm pretty much 80%. We're still going to see higher. I am keeping 20%, like Zeneca said, just to keep me sober here. But then I have been taking profits quite aggressively on the way up. So, I was looking at my portfolio the other day and I thought, look, if Bitcoin went to zero from here, would this bull run still be a success for me? And the answer was yes. So that's probably the first time in crypto land that I've been able to say that while still in a bull run. So I guess that's a pat on the back in itself, but certainly I want high, and I think we're going to get it. I think we just got to be patient. I don't think the market makers are going to put it on a silver platter like we all want.
And if you compare like Trump volatility, I know crypto is a very different asset way back in 2017 to 2021. But if you compare the volatility of his administration back then too, it's expected that we're going to get absolutely wild price actions. Swings of both incredibly bullishness, but incredibly bearishness across the world. We're seeing, like, I know Australian news this morning is like, yeah, tariffs are going to take an impact very shortly in Australia. So it's like, it's been impactful all worldwide. Like it's everywhere. So a couple of data points that I like to always relay. The blue here is 2021 cycle, okay, from the high that we first saw in April 2021 to the high of November 2021. And that would see us put in a high in August this year. So that would be Q3. Or just before, sort of in the middle there. Then obviously, previously, all-time highs usually are about 540 days to 550 days post-halving, which would also see us put in a high around the 20th of August. So around that Q3, Q4 is what everyone expects. It would actually align us with previous price action from both the two previous cycles around all-time highs. So potentially that could be the high as well. So a lot of people are still calling for lower. I kind of agree. If you do look at other indicators that we love to use, I do think we go lower. Zen, have you been buying Bitcoin or have you just been sitting on your bags? Have you been buying ETH? I know you're an ETH man. I know you're an NFT collector. I know you're an art collector, all these sorts of things. I know you were on base heavy as well. So I'd love to dive into your actual strategies around this point of time with price action.
Yeah, I've been buying ETH. I have a big stockpile of Solana that I'm just kind of holding for like the medium to longer term. I don't feel the need to add to that bag. I don't have that much Bitcoin at this point in the cycle. I always regret it, but I'm one of the idiots who thinks I can outperform Bitcoin and then trade back into it later on, which I think I've done decently well at this cycle. So I will be looking to buy and accumulate Bitcoin soon.
Mhm.
But I'm just sort of kind of putting a lot of eggs in the ETH market, ETH basket, and hoping that the ETH BTC chart reverses at some point. I'm extremely bullish ETH still, and think that eventually it will come good. The big question is whether that's this year or whether we do have to wait multiple years for that to happen. But yeah, I'm pretty comfy in ETH, honestly.
I like that, and that's why I bought my punk. Like I sent you a message. I was like, look, what's your thoughts right now, Ethereum or a punk? And you kind of agreed with the hedge of a punk, and I want ETH exposure because I have more BTC exposure leading into the next 5 to 10 years. And I thought, well, there's no better reason than to buy a punk probably at this point of price. Like whether sure, if it pumps up to maybe a couple of 100,000 or even half a mil in this cycle, you'd be a no-brainer to probably take some profit off the table and then maybe buy another one during the bear market if we see that. But yeah, pretty much like this is E first BTC. It's been down only since 2019, technically, or no, 2021, let's call it. Lower highs, lower lows. It still hasn't found a bottom. BTC dominance is charging. There's still strength there for at least a couple weeks, if not another month or two for me. It's really interesting, but I think you're right. Like if you look at ETH and how much volume it still has, its DeFi, its adoption worldwide for actual tech in terms of who wants to build on there. You look at the World Liberty Finance, and they accumulated ETH more than anything else. I think you got to hedge your bags with ETH exposure. I think sure this cycle hasn't been ETH's bull cycle, like we all know that. It's been very much Solana, maybe a couple others like Sui and stuff, but I do think that eventually this chart turns around and we do see bullish price action in the years to come. What catalysts do you think bring love? Let's call it love back to Ethereum.
Um, I think there's the Pectra upgrade coming, or hard
Mhm.
fork coming next month, which will bring a bunch of just upgrades to the chain.
Yeah.
An important one is I believe it's bringing native account abstraction, which basically means that the ability for users to have better wallets and wallet experiences. I think one of the biggest things with Ethereum and Ethereum L2s is that it's still not as clean and swift to use as Phantom and Solana. Solana,
Yeah.
you just go in, you buy a token, it's one button, done, it's done in a second. Ethereum, you have to when you want to sell it, you have to approve the
Yeah.
token for sale and go in and do, but being able to group those in one transaction, I think will actually go a long way. And those are the kind of things and the steps and the directions that need to be taken to make Ethereum and ETH L2s user friendly again. Because at the end of the day, blockchains need users. They need users to use them, to transact on them, to put funds on them. And while ETH has a significant amount of TVL and a lot
Yeah.
of users, power users, I would say, in the DeFi ecosystem, they've sort of struggled on the retail side of things. They boomed a bit during ICOs. They boomed a bit during NFTs because those things brought retail users to the chain. But this cycle has been basically largely about meme coins, and Solana has been the de facto place for that. So yeah, some user upgrade experiences, user experience upgrades, and then some stand out or breakout apps that really bring attention, I think, are the biggest things that ETH needs. And to be fair, there are some of those apps like Polymarket. Actually, I don't even remember anymore. Is Polygon an L2 or not? Were they a side chain?
Is
Where are they?
Polymarket technically on Polygon or whatever? I don't even know what that.
Yeah, honestly, they've changed so many times
I
over the
know.
years. I don't even know. But that's one. Within the crypto space, Fantasy Top is gaining more and more top adoption.
I love that.
Yeah, so Kaito is another good example,
Yeah.
which I believe they're trying to branch outside of crypto with their analytics and tech and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll eventually get something there. So I'm just waiting.
Yeah, and that's bring up Kyoto or Kaito, however you want to pronounce it. I wanted to ask you around that. AI, obviously, base season was massive for a period of time there. You dominated that space. You were quite early. I remember being one of the sort of lead influencers in the space that was early to that, trading that, multiple high returns in that space. Do you think money rotates, sentiment rotates back there? It's obviously slower moving compared to Solana, a lot more conducive to trading compared to Ethereum. AI obviously separate to that, but base season, do you think that return slash, do you think, and I remember we spoke about this, do you think there is going to be a base token?
I think there's a reasonable chance that there'll be a base token, but it might take years and years. I would basically say there's no There's no reason to believe it's going to come in the next few months or the next year or two. But with the regulatory changes in America, the possibility is there for a base token. So
Yeah.
that would be massive for anyone that's been using base all this time. Presumably they would airdrop it to users of their chain. And in terms of if there will be another base season, I think undoubtedly it's sort of crypto runs in metas and attention cycles. Fundamentally, nothing has changed with base. It has, I mean, if anything, it's just gotten better. It's just like basically every chain generally tends to just get better over time. The tech gets better, the apps get better, the user experiences get better. And base is no different. And so all of the reasons that I was bullish on it before still exist, except the narrative and attention has kind of died down a little bit on base. AI agents were a massive narrative, and virtuals brought a lot of attention to base, and that whole sector is cooled off now. So it'll be another thing in the future that brings attention back to base in a significant way. But yeah, that's just how crypto works. Like, people are a little bit back in Solana now. AVAX is getting a bunch of attention. You just have to, if you're sort of a day trader, you have to follow those trends and go where the attention and the money and the activity is. But as a longer term hold and thesis, I'm very comfy on ETH and base.
Yeah, I think it's a good space to be. And like you say, like, it is all of the same traders just moving between the different trends, NFTs, ordinals, runes, whatever you want to say. It's all the same people until we get that full blown adoption, which, look, it's always like, if you take this conversation outside crypto, no one knows. No one knows what crypto is, what base is. No one even knows what Solana is. Half the people out there, they just think they actually see Trump meme coin, or they see Dogecoin, they see Bitcoin. Like, that's literally it. So it's really interesting, the real segregation. So many people don't realize this, I don't think, in crypto, that we are still very much in our own unique space.
Yeah, it's a bubble. It's until you step outside of it, you don't realize just how much of a bubble it is. It's growing. I think we're at like 600 million, 700 million crypto holders worldwide. That's still less than 10% of the world's population. It's a bubble, and most people hate us. Most people hate crypto still.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think it's shown itself that we are still gambling, because we've seen all this stuff.
Fair enough as well.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's still gambling aspects. I mean, I got a DM today about a new proposal casino deal that they want to go forward with. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. So that'll be interesting as well. So AI then, like we spoke about, we had that live stream way back. It was, I'm not going to say it was the top, but it was around about the period where AI really took to the forefront of the crypto meta, of the crypto trends. I think everyone's kind of understood that maybe an AI token, well, like AI agents don't really need to have a token. AI itself, like, why does it need to be tokenized? It's okay. What is actually, how is AI going to impact crypto in the positive way? And then how can people make money in AI?
I mean, you're pulling on a very dangerous thread here. When you start asking if something needs a token, you very quickly realize that basically nothing in crypto actually needs a token.
So true,
tokens are ways for people to gamble and speculate on a lot of things that would generally be better without a token. That said, we're in crypto, and there are benefits to tokens and use cases, and they can usher in just better systems, monetary systems, and better value creation models, and better alignment with users, and all sorts of good things that ultimately do make me bullish on them. But for the most part, most things do not need tokens, but people will consistently experiment with tokens and try and find models that work and speculate on them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which is what we saw happen with the AI agent meta. Like, every single AI agent had a token. For the most part, they were, and I said this at the time, they're basically meme coins with a tiny sprinkle of utility, with a tiny hint of something more. And that's what appealed to a lot of people who maybe didn't like meme coins as much. But they were still traded on attention. I'm still bullish everything AI. I think the biggest technology in the world right now is AI. The second biggest is blockchain. And so the convergence of the two is inevitable. I think AI can't really thrive without blockchain technology either. Like, we're going to live in this world of many truths, and people will, like, fake content and all this kind of stuff, and we'll need a central source of truth, and blockchain technology is by far the best source of that. So what that leads to in terms of which tokens will pump, I have no idea, but I'm still extraordinarily bullish on that cross section and sector between crypto and AI. But whether it's existing coins, new coins, which ones, that's throwing a dart at the dartboard largely.
I think crypto's always just been attention and hype. Like, you can't ignore that simple factor. Like you said, it's the same group of people that slowly grows over time, that trade just different communities, different chains. We've seen this cycle and different markets. Like we've obviously seen DeFi, airdrops, NFTs, AI, as we've just discussed, really be traded across the market. So you spoke about before about really sitting on your hands. What are you currently doing with your time? I know brand is a massive thing for all three of us here. We've all come from zero at one point of time. That's definitely consistency over time is how you can build a brand. I know that's been a massive focus for you, bringing back your newsletter as well. What else, like obviously dive into those, but what else are you currently spending your time doing at the moment?
Yeah, honestly, the newsletter and writing in general is the biggest thing that I'm spending my time on these days. I've always loved writing. I started my newsletter in June 2021, and I probably published 30 times in the span between the then and the end of 2021. So it was multiple times a week.
Yeah.
And then it just dropped off more and more over the subsequent years. I realized I only sent out 3 issues in 2024, which is kind of just a terrible newsletter rate. And so actually after the wedding, when I was sitting on a beach and just away from crypto, I was thinking about, what do I want to do when I come back? And I didn't really miss the trading that much. I missed the writing. And so when I came back with this new energy, and I was like, you know what, let's try and build out this newsletter, make it a premium product, make it something that I pour a lot more time into. And so I've gone from releasing 3 issues last year to now I send out 2 a week, one premium one on Mondays that has sort of a paid subscription model, and then a free one every Thursday. So my logic is that it's just infinitely more content than it used to be. And hopefully people find it helpful and useful. And it's also helping me sort of work on my book, which I'm trying to do in tandem at the same time.
Yeah, I am aware of that. So talk to us about your book. So what is your book? Is it crypto wholeheartedly? Is it more of a focus on a particular aspect of it?
It's basically crypto. It's like lessons I've learned from poker, but crypto as well, in terms of how to be a better trader, investor, manage your bankroll and risk, and understanding just all of these topics. That there's so many different topics to making it as a crypto trader or investor. And my general advice to everyone is always just DCA into Bitcoin and just wait 5, 10, 20 years. But very few people actually want to take that advice. Everyone is like, oh, I want to come and trade. I want to make more money. I want to try and beat the market. And if you're going to do that, then I think there's some lessons and things I can teach that I've learned the hard way. I think a lot of things have to be learned the hard way, but hopefully some of them people will read and be able to avoid, or the damage won't be as bad. So yeah, very much centered around crypto and trading and investing and all those kind of things. And it'll kind of be just like an anthology of maybe 50 different things that I've learned and will hopefully help people.
Yeah, I love that. No, look, basically what you just summed up is exactly how I pitch crypto to people. It's look, if you have no time, you want to have exposure, literally DCA into Bitcoin, hold that for many, many years to come. If you have more time, you can then spend more time learning how to actively trade all of these different ways, or 1 or 2 different ways. And that's how you can consistently make money and compound your wealth in crypto. Because so many people don't want to do that. And they get stuck bag holding. Like we've seen Memecoins obviously dump 80, 90%, and people are still like, no, it's going to come back. And they're being led on by these influencers. I'm not going to name names, but being led on by these huge marketing influencers in the space, which at the end of the day, we all do pump our own bags. Like there's no denying it. But it's this false illusion that, oh no, this person is going to take us to billions and billions and billions. And it's just like, no, mate, like you're already up 10,000x on that trade. Probably take some money off the table if you convert that back to utility in the real world, and how much that actually is in day-to-day life. So yeah, that's probably a lot of lessons, like you just said. Unfortunately, and that's been my philosophy, is I have had a past of scams, mistakes, failures over multiple cycles. It was this time around, I was like, look, no, hold on. I want to educate through my story so that other people can fast track their journey and get to where I am now at a faster pace, and don't have to make the same mistakes and failures again. Craig, what are you spending your time doing at the moment? Are you trading? Are you just sitting on your hands? You're accumulating Bitcoin. Obviously, we've spoken about that over the past couple of weeks. Are you doing anything else outside that at the moment?
Yeah, so I've just been, as you said, I've just been DCAing into Bitcoin pretty aggressively for this whole run, and through the bear, obviously. But even now, this dip to 76, I ate that up pretty big. So no, to answer your question a little bit shorter, Bitcoin predominantly, like Zeneca, I've got a decent sized Solana bag, so I don't really want to add to it. I feel like I've done well in the trade. I I don't want to take a second bite. I'm guilty of taking second bites into things sometimes, and that second entry I can get wrecked on. Get a great win, take that win, put it back in plus more, sometimes stupid, and then you fall over. So being careful not to re-enter alts at the moment. I'm quite cautious. Keeping away from memes mostly as well, predominantly. I haven't bought, I'm a big fan of, as you guys know, Pepe and Mog. Pepe mostly. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to show me a clear sign of reversal. I want to see it bottom out and clearly reverse, trend reverse, and then I'm bullish again on alts and memes. So no, at the moment for me, more building out my brand, connecting with people like yourself, Zeneca, other people in the space, learning. I think it's a good time to learn at the moment. It's a good time. It's sort of bear market attitude for me at the moment. So rather connect with people, build, I guess, is the answer. But if people, build gets thrown around a lot, but what does build even mean? I think sometimes people say build and they just mean scam. But when I say build, I mean educate other people, educate myself, like you guys as well. The longer I spend in the space, the more I enjoy the teaching side, the writing side, and less the trading side. I do love the trading side, but the trading side has its ups and downs where I find the writing always feels good. So whether it's bear market or bull market, for me, writing, I don't mind writing in a bear market. It's fine. So I'm enjoying that again. And one of the interesting things was with my trading group, obviously the information was kind of gate kept to a certain degree because people were paying for me to say what I thought. And then obviously I closed that down about a month ago, finally got, didn't see eye to eye with the other founders and things. So lessons in that, probably not to go into companies too often with too many other people. But it's been good because what it allowed me to do is go back onto the timeline and start writing again and not keeping that stuff gate kept to just a few people. I could put it out there again. And it was nice to get on the timeline and get active again like I did in 23. So that's been great. So just writing, Cato, obviously farming yaps to a certain degree still. I am enjoying that because it actually does reinforce your writing. So I enjoy the writing, and then getting paid to write's pretty cool, right? I don't know, maybe write a book like Zeneca one day, but it's funny. I wrote back in, how we all get into crypto when we first start in the first year, you think you're a guru. I actually wrote not a book, but probably about 10, 20 pages on crypto and the lessons I'd suggest. And I've just been going back over that and I'm thinking, holy shit, man, I thought I knew what I was talking about being in the space for, it was the winner's curse. I was there in February 21 and everything just went up.
Yeah.
So I thought I was pretty smart for about a year. And then obviously the dip came and the bear market taught me a lot more lessons. So no, just accumulating Bitcoin, waiting for clear signs of reversal and also waiting, I think, for a clear meta, something that's obvious. I'm waiting for the next trend, and I don't know if I'm seeing it yet. I haven't seen anything yet that I go, that's new, that's shiny, and everyone's going to want to pour into it, regardless of how stupid it is. Because at the end of the day, like Zeneca said, most things probably don't need to be tokenized, so they're pretty short lived. But that's okay as long as you know the game.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for that next hype, shiny thing to come. Who knows what it'll be? But I'm just waiting, and then when it's there, I will go all in. But until that moment where it's clear and obvious in my mind, and probably speaking to people like you and yours, I'll just wait. I think patience is the really important thing right now.
I think that takes time and experiences. Hey, like you got to go through bear markets to sit patiently in a bull
To
market.
relax.
And exactly relax and volatility. Like you're in crypto for the volatility, right? You're here to try and change your life for the better, but within that you have volatility to the downside, and so many people can't cope with that aspect. But as soon as you can learn to cope with that, you will be 10 times better across the cryptocurrency market.
Exactly right. No, I'm at complete peace with the market. It's probably the first time I felt peace. And it's a strange thing because I used to listen to experienced traders explain how they felt peaceful or calm. And I always thought they were just speaking to their viewers and trying to sound like this guru who had found inner peace and, yada, yada. But no, I see what they were saying now. And I think that only comes with time in the saddle, experience, being hurt, unfortunately. And like Zeneca said, I'm one of the people who has to learn through pain. Definitely through my whole life, that's been my experience. I need to eat, taste, feel, smell everything because I don't believe anyone. So I find out for myself, which has been a great learning experience for me, but perhaps for other people, like the value of Zeneca writing a book and things like that. Is if you can help one person avoid one pitfall, you're doing a good thing. So I think it's great people like us come into the space and don't just try extract. I feel like there's certain people that I look on the timeline with that, not, I don't want to sound harsh or critical, but some people seem to just want to take from the space where hopefully, I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to take money from the space. That's just the game we play, right? I don't get to make without someone losing. That's unfortunately the reality. But it's an even playing field, right? I don't have the cards stacked in my favor. It's in everyone's favor, and it's just made the best man win. And I think life's fantastic like that. I like that. I just think the harder you work, the luckier you get. So crypto's a great space. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. That's my mindset at the moment. I'm very peaceful in this dip. If Bitcoin, I mean, don't get me wrong, if Bitcoin breaks much below 69, I will start to get a bit but wriggly in my seat. I don't want to feel it. I'm at peace now. Will I be below 69? I don't know. But also, you've got to be prepared for the worst, right? So if I have to learn a lesson, so be it, man.
Well, my DCA, my average buy would be around 80 for my Bitcoin that I currently own. Zen, when would you buy Bitcoin? What
good
price?
question.
Yeah.
If
for
ever.
me, no, I definitely will. I guess my strategy for accumulating Bitcoin is to not necessarily look at the price of Bitcoin in US dollars, but look at the ratio between Bitcoin and other crypto assets, and then basically like convert them into Bitcoin. That would require other things to actually pump against Bitcoin, which we haven't really seen much this cycle yet. But people keep talking about alt season. I don't necessarily believe that we will get an alt season that is the same as previous alt seasons. There's just way too many tokens. It just can't possibly happen. But I do believe we will get a period where Bitcoin dominance drops.
Yeah.
Largely, it'll be predicated on ETH, taking off and reclaiming a lot of the price action that it's lost. And that is when I'd be looking to sort of start shifting some of my assets over into Bitcoin. So whether that happens, and usually that does coincide with Bitcoin pumping and being a bit higher. But the interesting thing there is that I will end up probably buying or accumulating Bitcoin at like a much higher price than now, but I will get more of it than if I say sold my ETH now and then use the USD to buy Bitcoin, because ETH is at such a low point. So kind of how I'm thinking about it. I could end up getting massively wrecked if ETH doesn't do anything this cycle. If Sol doesn't bounce back, if Bitcoin just runs away and hits like 70% Bitcoin dominance and stays there, then I'll be I will have missed it. But I'm cautiously optimistic that we will get another chance to accumulate Bitcoin at a better rate relative to other crypto assets.
I couldn't agree more. Like Greg and I've pretty much analyzed the same sort of thesis over the past couple of weeks. I expect BTC dominance to come down like in the medium term, let's call. And within that, I agree. I think there's too much saturation of tokens, of on-chain possibilities, that it'll be selective opportunities that will see the return. And as you say, because Ethereum takes up, like you could even throw BNB in there now, because those and XRP, like those ones take up such a market share of altcoin exposure, it actually really relies for BTC dominance to come down for those three to really go, okay, now we want to move up as BTC either goes sideways or it does go down. So that's the key that a lot of people don't understand. Whereas in 2021, like you said, that was like the sentiment is just so different. Everyone could it was literally altcoins versus Bitcoin. This cycle, it is literally not like that. Like there were so many opportunities last cycle and everyone's like, well, altcoins, it makes so much sense. Like liquidity goes from A to B to C to D. Right? You have your Bitcoin, you have your Ethereum, you have your top L1s, then you have your top 100, then you have your absolute degenerate tokens on BNB, where whatever it was, these gaming tokens I was trading, crazy times. But I don't think we ever get that sort of level of craziness because we've had the NFTs, we've had meme coins, we've had AI already kind of capture that attention this cycle. And as you say, saturation of tokens around sort of everything, really. So that's probably my thesis there. What about NFTs for you right now? Obviously, I bought my punk, so you can tell me whether that was a good decision in your eyes or not. Let me know. I will say that I think it was a good decision as a hedge. Like I said, we have seen a massive sweep, not like sweep, but we've seen massive daily sells above floor and at floor for weeks now on punks. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great move. I'm a excuse me, big believer in punks. I think of every single NFT in existence, the CryptoPunk collection is the most resilient, most likely to maintain and accumulate value over the long term. It's just they're basically timeless, and yeah. So I think it's if you're going to get NFT exposure, punks are probably the safest way to do that. So I think, and for people who can't afford a punk because they're crazy amounts of money, you can buy fractions of a punk and stuff like that, which is actually one of the very first things I did back in 2021. That's another story.
Do you
I
own
think
a punk?
I have one punk. Yeah, I basically my dream for the longest time was to work my way up and get a punk, and that's another reason that makes me so bullish. I know so many other people who like their dream, their holy grail NFT is to one day finally get a punk, which just further validates.
I'd love one.
There we go. So all three of us on here have had that dream, and basically the idea is that when people get crypto rich, they want to flex, they want to buy something. We spent all of our time online. For a lot of us, driving a flashy car or a Lambo isn't where it's at. It's having something online, that some identity, some whatever piece of art that we can relate with and even flex with. So I think that and the fact that there are so many people that want to do that makes me just comfortable in punks.
Yeah.
And punks have always been a pretty good leading indicator of the wider NFT market. So it is a good sign that punks are generally holding up well during this market downturn and volatility. We've seen a couple other NFT collections pop off lately, the Good Vibes Club and the Masks by Sam Spratt, which is fantastic to see. I don't have any exposure to either, but I absolutely love it because people are on the timeline talking about these things, appreciating the art, having fun. It's like NFTs are just way more fun than meme coins. And I think we're starting to see glimpses of that energy back, which is
it feels like it's needed. I think a palette cleanse is needed. But I think meme coins, while they were really fun for a while, it got silly at the end, which makes sense at market tops or Pico tops. But I definitely agree with Zeneca, and I know Greeny, you feel the same. NFTs just brings a different crowd, which I kind of like. You get your art enthusiasts. You get a real mix with the NFTs, which I like. You get your pure art people that are like, oh my God, another grift by that artist, and there's this competition between artists, which I kind of like. It's like sports teams. And then you've got your open edition people that came, and then your grifters came, and whatever. We've got it everywhere. But one thing, like, art's fun. And it's subjective, and you can find traits that are dope, and you might like this and someone else might like that, which is very different to meme coin because it's just Pepe's Pepe, right? There's no variances to it per se. But with NFTs and things, you do get that. And I agree with punks is just so fantastic because the good thing about them is they haven't been tainted as much as, say, Bored Apes. So no disrespect to them, but just the ups and downs that they've had and the internal politics and all that stuff, which was one of the reasons why I think when Yuga bought them, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know, but if that's the best thing, but whatever. But yeah, certainly versus Bored Apes, a punk is a much stronger buy, isn't it? And you don't need, the great thing I think about punks as well, and with the really good NFT art, is no utility, no roadmap. Just you either like it or you don't, and you're not waiting for a catalyst, because as we've seen, every time a catalyst expires, the floor price dumps. So best to just have collectors collecting, like comics, cards, and no other reason, I think, other than enjoyment.
Yeah, there's this one of my favorite people in the entire space, Derek Edwards. He runs a fund, Collab Currency. He is a fantastic writer, and he's always talking about this concept of no external dependencies, which basically means you want to buy digital artifacts that are timeless and don't rely on a team executing or not executing, because then there's execution risk. Take Pudgy Penguins as an example. Fantastic project product, probably the best outside of Punk's best NFT IP collection by far. They've done tremendously well, but there were massive swings in volatility based on how well they executed the abstract chain launch and the airdrop and the mobile game and all these other things, which it can work very, very well to the upside, but it also has that risk where if things aren't working well, it goes to the downside. Whereas you look at something like Punks or some of the OG art like Xcopy Works, Squiggles, Autoglyphs, these things have significantly less external dependencies. They just exist, and people find them valuable for the fact of what they are. And there's a grassroots community, and you're not waiting for a team to do or not do something. And I think there's a lot of value in that, especially if you're holding longer term. Shorter term, you can get better gains on the things that do have teams and things, but it's knowing what you're getting into, basically.
Well, with that, anything on the horizon that really you're excited for, either short term, medium term, long term, NFTs, new tokens, new unlocks, new chains, anything that really captures your attention right now?
I'm excited for attention to go back to NFTs. I think that I'm cautiously optimistic that this little mini rally we're having now will inspire a lot of others to sort of stick around and play in this space, because there's a lot of innovation to be had since 2021 when NFTs really took off. Now you have things like NFTs can have their own wallet. They can do their own trading. You can connect an NFT to an AI agent perhaps. And now you start to see more and more interesting things. Web3 gaming has been getting a battering lately and getting smashed around, but I'm still a big believer in the idea of on-chain gaming. And I play video games. 4 billion people in the world play video games, and interact with digital assets. To me, it's an inevitability that these will be on-chain as NFTs eventually. So it's just, I'm just excited to hopefully see some of the culture come back into crypto. Like we definitely lost our soul a bit through meme coins. And I think a lot of people were burned and may never come back, but there are some that will. There were a lot of people that were sidelined. I know because some of them came out during the AI agent, Little Meta, who couldn't just wrap their heads around meme coins. They've been in crypto for a while and they're like, I just can't deal with this. And then some got into AI agents, but some were like, I can't even deal with this. So they're kind of looking for things that maybe have a little more substance or utility. And I think we'll probably see a flight to substance and utility, hopefully. I think we need to. I don't think this market can sustain on crime and meme coins for much longer.
Couldn't agree more. Craig, what do you think?
I mean, Zeneca just said everything in my brain then. I think there's going to be a massive flight to utility soon. And I feel like I think there's a lot of money on the table. And I think that a team that produces something with utility or fun again will go really well. And I reckon the market's gagging for it. I am. I want it. So I may not need it, but I want it. So I think with Zeneca, I think utility is what we all want now. Most of us, I think meme coin spoilt us for a while and then wrecked us. And obviously, as we thought with Hayden extracting and, a few people from the top extracting from people got a bit of a bad taste in their mouth now. And also, you can only cop so many losses, right? And people only have a finite amount of money as well. So, say you're a new trader and you got in on Libra and you copped a hit, like Zeneca was saying, some people may not even come back because that's not much fun. So I would like some fun to come back to the space. I would like some utility. And I understand that utility might not be long-term or ongoing, but just something that makes your mind chew over something for a while. Something that makes me think, some mechanical, whatever it might be. I just want to have to think again for a little bit rather than just buy meme coins, sell higher. Like, you know what I mean? Let's do that. Either that or let's have some fun with NFTs. I have noticed some NFTs starting to come back. There's early signs, which I think this week or last week's been the first time I felt a little shift even in myself in the timeline. And I'm like, I feel the energy's changing. I saw some ETH NFTs are moving. I think Mother Effers, they're starting to move, which is they're a bit of a cultural movement and a bit of an anti-establishment in a way. So great to see them moving. I've seen some ordinals starting to move again. Puppets started to move. OMB started to move. So kind of your top collections, don't get me wrong, they are down significantly, but you're starting to see pumps. And I think these are early signs of another rally of NFTs. So that excites me. I'm sure Zeneca, that must get you going. I'm sure Greeny, let's go, man. Give me a frothy NFT pump. I love that shit. I'm a big fan. I think much more than meme coins. Meme coins are great with a solid community that's fun as shit, raiding and stuff. I get it. But NFTs, man, trait hunting. If you haven't done it, for people out there, I'm an ex-comic collector, card collector, figurine collector, Star Wars. I was a mad geek. So trait hunting, I love getting dirty, looking for a flaw trait someone didn't realize was dope, and I grab it, and it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. So I wouldn't mind that coming back. But like Zeneca, I think utility or art, one of the two. And I think art in itself is kind of utility in the fact that there's no utility other than joy. So I kind of I've got an X copy, I can't remember what's the cheapest one. I've got one of those. I bought in
Max Payne and Friends, maybe.
Yeah. And I've just got that in a wallet that I do not check, do not care. And I think that's the kind of people you want. Not saying I'm the right kind of person, but that's the kind of collector you want. I don't check the price. I don't check the floor. And I knew when I bought it, I was like, put this away and let's just see if he goes massive down the line. And I think he will. And it's kind of a co-play to Punks, really. Punks for me is the top tier of that thought process. But I didn't have the money or the balls to do it with a Punk. We'll see at the end of this bull market. I think I'm going to probably go a Punk in the bear. Punk and Bitcoin, heavy and bear for me. I'd like those two. And then I would consider that a nice little win, cheers myself, and then just sit and wait and go into the bull and see where we go from there. And I think that's a nice low stress play. Well, I was going to say, you guys touched on a topic earlier about getting new people, friends into the space. And one of the things I've found, and this is human psychology, one of my best mates from back home who got into the space about a year ago, I almost couldn't stop him from getting into meme coins. I tried to tell him, I was like, man, just buy Bitcoin DCA. And if he did, he would have been up quite nicely, but that's not sexy and it's not fun. And I must say, I guess meme coins in a way are great because it got him addicted, but he has taken a step back now, I think, because of the fuckery that goes on in the space, and he got a bit over being told. And I tried to explain this to him when he got into it, but I knew and I said, dude, you're not going to listen to me, so I'm going to tell you what I think you should do, and then you're going to go do what you want to do, and then we'll come back and reconvene, and then we'll talk. But so he's just now taken a step back and actually just listening and learning, which is great. But it took a year of shitcoining to realize that probably just good quality Olsen Bitcoin is the answer.
Yeah.
And it is the answer. And to be honest, if you just, for the people listening who don't have the time, if you just DCA into Bitcoin in 10 years time, I think you're going to be stoked.
You'll outperform probably
everything,
everyone.
property,
any asset.
So, but it's not fun per se. It
Yeah.
doesn't give you that dopamine hit. It only probably gives you a dopamine hit once every 3 years. So most won't do it, but the ones that do, I think, will end up succeeding in life fairly stress-free. And that's what I try to tell people now is I think most people could probably, if they play their cards right, almost retire, I reckon, in 3 runs. Or be comfy, or have a nice little nest egg when you're retired that you're going to be okay, versus people that just work a full-time wage and hope that their super or their retirement fund's going to get them through. I don't think that's going to be there. And, I'm 40 now, so by the time I get to my retirement, I don't know if my super is going to be there. I don't know if the government's going to have to. They might have taken it by then, so, on a crash or bail a bank out or whatever. So I think we got to save ourselves, and I think Bitcoin's that life raft that will do it. Not can, I think will, and I can't think of a better way to protect your family and your wealth than that. If there's a better one, I'm all ears. It used to be gold, but no, although gold shot out all-time high.
It's still gold, Craig. It's 20+ trillion.
Yeah, it is very much still gold. And I actually sold a bit of gold. I bought gold in the bear market and sold probably 8 months ago. But which was nice. So yeah, I was into metals, but Bitcoin's just a lot easier to store, easier to move, easier to sell. Exactly. So once you get into both, you do really realize that the convenience of Bitcoin to be able to say fly with it. Try flying with, I don't know, $500,000 of gold, gold. How are you going to do it? Like, you can't. But USB, bang, you can have it on your pocket, and easier to keep safe, easier to hide. Because obviously, as you make money, people want to take it. Typically, humans get envious. That's why you got to be careful out there telling people what you've got. Mm-hmm. Everyone, I'm very poor. I've got fucking nothing, man. Don't come for me. Greeny's the one with all the money, but no, you've got to be careful. But yeah, that's my little speech on the market. I think just everyone listening should buy a bit of Bitcoin, man, and pump this chart.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you bring up that topic, Craig, because Zen and I spoke about this previously as well, is the protection of your identity as you.
Yeah, we've all messed that up a bit.
Well known in the crypto space.
Damn it.
I think for my transparency and my education, putting my face out there is so imperative and so important for the brand, for the education, for the connection, for people to value me, for people to trust me, that sort of stuff. But in the same capacity, you really hope that doesn't come back to haunt you in future years. Is probably where I currently stand.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. To end today, I wanted to ask Zen, what are some tips that you have for obviously ourselves here, but for the people that are watching around growing a brand on crypto Twitter? It is very hard at times, particularly during bearish times. You see engagement go down, you see comments go down, you see impressions go down. You create this beautiful piece of writing. I throw up a beautiful chart where I've made a 10x, and it just does not get the same amount of attention as it did a couple months ago. So, what is some of the strategies that you've adopted over the years to really grow your brand from zero up to the couple 100,000 followers that you currently have?
Yeah, I think understanding that it takes time is one part of it. When it comes to Twitter, well, when it comes to whatever platform you're using to try and build a brand on, understanding that leading with value is the best thing you can possibly ever do. So I went from, sorry, my dog's squeaking a toy. I went from like 0 to 100,000 followers in 6 months. It was obviously very lucky, right place, right time. But it was because every day I would post a massive spreadsheet of NFT collections and their floor prices, which was something that you couldn't get before. Like you couldn't, OpenSea didn't have them listed. You had to manually go and search it. And so it was this piece of value that was on the timeline. So when people saw it, they read it, they consumed it, and they wanted to share it with their followers. And I think that's a really important point. You want to create something that people want to share with other people. That's how you really start to reach lots and lots of eyeballs. Getting better at writing is probably one of the biggest tips I can give people. Like writing is a skill. Anyone can improve their writing. Anyone can get better. We are spending so much time online that I think it's really worth putting a little bit of time and effort into it, especially in this age of AI. I see a lot of comments from people who are like, oh, I don't really need to learn to write anymore. I can just go to ChatGPT. And yes, you can, and it will create decent copy, but it's like, it's good copy for like business speak. It's not good human copy, and people will always gravitate towards the authentic and the raw and the genuine. And so I think that's another tip, actually. Be yourself. Just like be unabashedly yourself. So many people try and be someone else. They try and imitate, or they try and be someone that they're not. They try and puff their chest out and lift themselves up. The reality is that there's billions of other people out there, but there's only one you. And so the one thing you have to offer the world is your own unique experiences and perspective and life journey and learnings and mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So be yourself, be a better writer, learn to improve your writing, networking is extremely important. Be a reply guy, especially if you don't have many followers. The best thing you can do is, make a list of the 50 or 100 accounts you want to engage with, and every single day just go through and reply to all their posts. Spend 4 hours a day on it, and I guarantee you will have thousands of followers in no time. But yeah, it's hard work, but it's very rewarding if you can pull it off.
Yeah, no, fantastic advice. I agree with all 5 of those points. Let's call it 5 of those points. So thanks very much for that. All right, lads, is there anything else we want to cover today? It's been a great show. It's been great to have you on, Zen. Maybe we could do this weekly or every couple of weeks potentially. We could get you on the show.
I'd be keen for that.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll talk about that behind the scenes. But yeah, anything else we want to cover today, guys, before we wrap today?
I wanted to check in with Zeneca, Greenie. Zeneca, are you mining Tari?
I set it up a while back. I don't know if it's still active right now, but I really wanted to invest in them, but I missed out on the round or something way back in the day for one reason or another. But I'm very bullish on them. I think it's a really cool idea. I think it is built by some really switched on people. Yeah, so I think keep an eye on Tari. It will eventually make headlines at some point. But yeah, I was mining it. I don't know if I'm currently actively mining it. Probably not, but I should get back into it because I think that it's a really good way for people to spend a little bit of time.
I just seen it coming up in the timeline now with people starting to mine it. Swanee put out a post, you mentioned you, and a guy D-Train who's pretty good in the space as well. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to set up a spare computer and start doing that, because those are the sort of things that can pop out of nowhere and actually can make you a bag, especially if not a lot of people are there yet. It could be, I just thought maybe that's an opportunity for listeners to get in early.
A little bit of time and effort and friction, and you can maybe make like 4 figures out of nothing, maybe even 5. It's really crazy, the opportunities in crypto.
Yeah. But that's about all from me, guys. Great chat. Great to have you on here, Zen. It's been a pleasure, man. And obviously, I was saying to Greenie, you were one of the people in the space in 21 with the Zen Academy that I sort of looked up to in that. So it was cool to have you on the show and get to chat to you like this. It's hopefully the listeners got a bit out of it, and it's been great.
Yeah. No, thanks again for having me. I just wanted to say as well, I set up a special discount code for listeners. If anyone wants to subscribe to my newsletter, it's just zeneca.xyz/greenie, and there's a 30% discount there for any of the listeners here. So, thanks again for having me, and I would love to do it more regularly.
No, thanks, and yeah, maybe we'll sort that out. So as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Obviously you heard that little cheeky discount, and massive shout to Zen for that as well. His newsletter, I have read the free version of it. It's sensational. Highly recommend it. For like we pretty much covering what we've covered today. Analysis on the crypto market, how to grow a brand, all these sorts of things, trading lessons. Okay, it's all in there. I'd highly recommend it, guys. So do check that out, as he just said. All right. Thanks, lads. It's been a banging show. As always, if you are watching, guys, and you are new here, be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe or follow us all on Twitter and YouTube. Greeny Trades, Coin Purse, and Zeneca. We'd love to have you guys support us as we keep growing in this crypto space that we all love. So, as always, guys, have a great afternoon, and hopefully get you on the show again soon, Zen.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. Take care, everyone.
Easy.
Thanks,
All right.
mate.
See you later, Craig. See you tomorrow, mate.
See you, mate. Ciao.
Ciao, everyone. Bye bye.